Welcome to Trading Lounge and the indices, and starting with the SP500 here. We've, on the daily chart, we've seen this move come down here. We've got it as 5 waves of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I understand that wave 4 overlaps with wave 1, so that could be an issue, and we could also view this as a corrective move down here because of that overlap here. Now, is there a case for that? Well, there is really, because when you have a look at some of the AI stocks that are leading quite higher here, this is a daily chart from Microsoft, we can see that we've got an A, B, C pattern here for wave 4, and we're just toying with the top here at the moment, so we'll end up going through that top. So it's quite possible that that's going to be the case here. We can also look at the NASDAQ as wave 4 here as well, because NASDAQ hasn't actually pulled back very far. There's other stocks like this as well that are toying with tops like Meta platforms. Nvidia's not too far off, those sorts of things. So it's quite possible to have this as an alternative wave 4. At the moment, we're looking at this as an A wave to the upside and then a B wave back. We are getting 5 waves here, so that means that we will have a correction and then we will have another 5 waves up. So when we have this 5 waves up and we have a correction, may not pull back this far. So the A waves are normally sharp and strong, and then the B waves can be simple or complex. And then if we have a wave C, then most of the time they're lazier on an angle than wave A here. So it's quite possible that we could also view this move to the upside here as wave 1 when we look at stocks like Microsoft. So that means that this would be a wave 2 here, and that means it would have a wave 3 here. So I don't know which one we're going to have here. All I know is that I have 5 waves here that may or may not be completed. We have a beginning, a middle, and an end here, so we're close to it, and obviously the 4-4 is going to play out quite nicely like that. But what we need to do, we need to be in on this B wave here or wave 2 here. Will it be wave 3 or will it be wave C? I have no idea, but it doesn't matter. Our timing will be spot on and we'll be in the right place at the right time. Now, we've made money in this trend. We don't want to be toying in the market in this particular area through here, because this is where you take the money. This is where you give it back in corrections. So we've been very patient at the top here. We need to continue to be patient while it rolls over, and I've probably drawn this correction a little bit too big, but it can pull back 40, 50, 60%, all of those sort of things, but it should be a pretty simple correction in terms of a 5-3-5 structure here. But B waves are a little bit like wave 4s, they can get a bit complicated, but that's kind of where we're at the moment with this. So even though I don't know the bigger picture as such, we've got a fair idea about it, but I know the intraday picture, and that's where we are playing. So we'll go into the intraday here. And so this is the move to the upside. So you can see that the beginning, the building process, in the middle here, and then we're in the ending process here. So it's not going to go very far. There's really good, resistance at the 4-4. A lot of other indicators would point to that as well. I've been watching the bond market a fair bit because on an intraday basis, this move to the upside here has really been tuning in with the treasury bonds to the upside here. So I've been looking at this as a wave 4 up here. We've got a wave 3 here, wave 4 here, and then then a wave 5 down here. So this is doing exactly the opposite of what the treasuries are doing. The 3-year auction on Tuesday, I think it was, went quite well. The 10-year auction kind of didn't have a lot of demand, but it sort of did okay, and we got the 30-year yields, 30-year auction, I think Thursday or Friday for that. So this little move to the upside here, if I just go right into day here, because this has really been has been you can, apart from this little low here, the rest of this trend has been in line with the, you can overlap them on the futures. So Yeah, so here we've got the A wave and ABC for the B wave, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth, and fifth, and in here we've got 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So we've got a little bit more to go here before that tops out here. So after the auction, 30-year auction, I reckon that will play out at that point. And yeah, I mean, this wave 4 here could get more complicated from wave 3 to 4. You know, but at some point we'll see another low come in here, and that will be the low at that point for this market. You know, this will be yeah. So we'll see this move up at this point, and because the bonds have been tuning back in with the stock market, this move here will be a catalyst for the yields dropping off and the bonds picking up at that point. So hopefully they tie in all together. And so yeah, we're near a top here. I just can't pin it down. I mean, technically I can see that we can count 5 waves up to that top there, and that's it. But when I look at it visually and just sort of eyeball it, I just feel, yeah, I know it's getting top heavy and all the rest of it, but I just feel that we're missing a little bit, you know. So we could certainly have wave A top in here, or we could have it just over here. And there's different cases for different markets as well. I mean, the Russell's, you know, very weak. It's pulled down quite strongly. The Dow Jones here, this is the little move up from the DJ here. So we've got 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. So it looks like all the third, fourth, fifth here. So it looks like we could have one more little push up here into the 50-60% area, but at the same time, you know, we're at the top here, so you don't want to be in this and lose money. This is where you lose money. So if you can't help yourself from pushing buttons, then make sure you're trading less at least. So let's go in here a little bit further, and we're going to look at this in 2 ways, this particular top here. Sorry to carry on so long with this, but so let's just get in a bit more data here for this, and yeah, it gets a bit messy on the intradays here. So yeah, different markets have had different lows down here. Some of them have been around the 27th. Microsoft was way before that. Some are a little bit later. Yeah, but most of them were looking at wave 1 coming up here and all this. I won't go into the stocks, of course, but you can have a look at that video today on that. But though that November the 1st for that wave 1 and 2 kind of fits in quite nicely. So in this case, 1 and 2 here, then 1, 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth, and fifth, and we've got 5 waves in here. So we could put this as a wave 4 here, you know, and then wave 5 to the upside. So this is one option. The other option is this top being in place here already. So from, and if we do go up here, by the way, it's not going to go that far. It will go up into, you know, this, it's all about this number here, right? So lots of other, you know, many roads to Rome to tell you that this is important. But this is the swing range, 1, 2, and 3 here, and group 2 here, as you can see, is finding support here. So this is this group 2 in here will play out quite sort of nicely as support later on here when we go long over here again. But yeah, this could be something like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then you know, then doing this. The other side to this, we go from 1,000 to 100. And we'll need some more data in here, so it's going in a little bit smaller. So here, technically, I can count that that we have a top in place here. So in this case, I've put wave 1 here and 2 here, and then all the way up without boring you to death with 3 and 4, and then 5 waves up here. So technically, I can put this here, you know. I can do that at this point. So this count would be wrong if that top gets taken out, which is probably likely, you know, but until it does, you know, there's a case to count this as 5 waves down here. So it's quite possible to count this here as, we might as well just take a look at the bearish side, you know, put wave 2 up there for that, and this would just nut it out a little bit here. Now I don't know if this is the case or not, but if you see it coming down, this plan B here will be helpful in that case, won't it? You know, so this would be wave 1 and 2 here, and wave 3, 4 and 5 coming down here. This would be wave A here, and then we'll have wave B coming into play, and then 5 waves here for wave C coming into play, and then back up at that point. So it would be something like that, you know. So then you would say, well, you know, when can I short here if that was going to be the case? Well, I normally like to wait for an impulse wave to the downside. I could probably look at this as impulsive, but it doesn't look like it's finished just yet. But yeah, I could probably anyway, one way of doing this is just looking at this, you know, if you're looking for sort of a safe way to the downside. We know that this is the 50-60% retracement level area here. So you could say that, well, if the 61.8% and that closest largest number is 370, that became the resistance, then you could look to short under that with, you know, classic trading levels pattern. But otherwise, you could probably look, if it came down to here, there will probably be 5 waves down to this point. So then there'll be some type of rally here. And if you can count the 5 waves, well, then you can short it in the box here at the 50-60%. If you can't count 5 waves here, then you'll have to short it here and then look to add under here as well. But yeah, this is where you lose money here, so just be extremely careful. On the this is the SPY here. This is another way to look at the top forming as well. We can put wave 3 here and 4 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 up here. It's still coming up to the 440 mark here. That top needs to be taken out at that point. So this would be just another way to look at that top coming into play. Okay, but yeah, if it drops too deeply, normally, you know, you get the 5 waves coming back to this low here, and then you get the bounce here, which is normally the wave 2 at that point. So if you see it down here, then you can short it back at the 50-60% there as well, and you can draw lines and you can, you know, do whatever you need to do. But yeah, the weakness is coming into the top of the trend here. You see how strong it is here. You know, if we look at this here, this will be, you know, wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So this is the third of the third of the third here. This is where the gaps, this is what Elliott people look for, a little bit late in my view, but you know, that's the most powerful point in the trend. So this is you call all this the beginning here and the middle here, and we're in the end here, definitely in the end. So anyway, that's that. Won't go on too much. So we come over to the NASDAQ, and we're on 20k ticks here, and I've got wave 1 to this point here, and when you look at the actual cash market, that is a very nice way to view that. If I go to the cash market here somewhere and have a look at that, maybe I've got it here. Thought I might have had that counted, but I won't bore you to death. I won't go into. I thought I might have had it counted already there, but so I've got wave 1 and 2 here, but I also understand that I could also bring this blue wave over to here and have this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. That means it will take it up a little bit higher here. I know that we're at the crest of this particular move to the upside, but it doesn't mean that it's the top's in place. I mean, we can count it like that, and that's the primary count, have this as 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, and that's the top. But I've got no evidence so far that that is the top, you know, of the 5 waves. So we just got to wait and see how this plays out here. And, you know, if we do get a correction, it'll, you know, it's all about, once again, it's all about this number here, and this will be group 1 and group 2 here. So this is where this correction will play out. So we don't really need to do anything for a while with all of this. Just allow it to be at this point. You know, even those sort of leading stocks, you know, like Microsoft that we just looked at, you know, will have a double top here. Double tops are never the end of the trend, but you know, there's always a certain battle to go on at that point. So yeah, so we've had this, we've traded quite nicely in here. We're not going to get involved in the top and the turn here. We'll just let it turn, and yeah, if that's not the top, then we've got to work it from up here, and it might get a bit more messy, but all I know is that we have to wait. You know, that's my takeaway on that. And this is just the XLK here, same thing. I won't bore you to death on these counts, so I just keep these here. This is the triple Q. We can count this up here being, this is quite a nice count with that top coming into here. But you know, this is what you do, you count it like this, and when you've got your 5 waves all completed here, and then if it moves up further, then you've got to kind of think of what, you know, where you... Well, it's not that you've done anything wrong. It's just that the market's going to go up higher. So you've been conservative. And if this top is going to take out, then you need to figure out, you know, how do I expand this particular structure up there? You know, is it possible to come back one step here and bring this over to here and bring this down to this one and this one to this one? That will give me... you know, that will give me a wave 4 over here, but really that's a bit of a small wave 4. That's not really going to work at that point, so that's not going to work. So what else can I do with all of this, you know? So you just keep looking at different ways to edge it a bit high, but you know that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to this, so we're close, that's all. And I like to look at other markets to see if because sometimes something just jumps out at you, you know. So we come over to the Russell now, and the Russell's a little bit weaker, as you know, just generally speaking. We can see from the top here, the August one or whatever it was, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. We've got 5 waves from the top here. That means that we'll have some type of correction that can pull back to the 50-60% area here, and then we would go down again at that point. Okay, so because we got 5 waves here, we'll get a correction, we'll get down another 5 here. It's either that or we got the low in play here. So if I look at the bigger picture here for a moment, it's not that one. Yeah, so this picture here on this is the other futures thing here. So the interesting thing here is that just down here we've actually made a sort of a new low here on this. So it's quite possible, quite possible, you know, it's a long shot, but it's okay to talk about these things. It's not taboo. So we've got 5 waves down here, as I just mentioned on the other chart. So I could put that as wave C there and we're finished. That's the end of the correction. It's either that or we put wave 1 here. Or we could go some sort of WXY as well with another A and B wave here and C wave down here. That could also be possible as well. So there's a few things that got to play out here. I also don't have a nice 5 wave structure up here just yet on this, so it's more like 3 waves up. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because it has drifted down quite low. Most of the other markets that we've been looking at have been, because this turned down lower first, you know, because I would have had this, like, this would make sense to me, this like this here. That's what would make sense to me, but there's no way that's going to get up there if the other markets are topping. Do you know what I mean? It's just not going to have the legs in it. So how do we look at this then? You know, if the other markets have still got to come down a bit, then do we look at this slightly differently and look at it in terms of the correction to the upside already being completed? You know, like, do we look at this, because I'm not quite sure about this one at the moment, do we look at it like this already, that it's actually complete, not far off? This is the 50%, so we're not far off our target area here. Do we put that in there? Is that possible? I'm not quite sure about that either, you know. And if that was the case, then that's 5 waves from that top to that point there. That's 5 waves, and then it would have to put, I'm not sure if that should go either way on there, but I'll put it on the highest point, which would be this one. So then that would be 5 waves down. That would also be 5 waves down here, and that would be coming back to that point. So that kind of sets up a bit of a short trade here, really, you know, on the breach of that. On the futures, the same as well, I guess. So so do we look at it like that, you know? I mean, that's not such a bad sort of idea, but then that would take us into, you know, into new lows here, and I don't know if we're going to get that into the new lows here. Is that too much? So I'm a bit unsure about this one. I'm going to remove the trade signal here because I'm not 100% sure. When I take trades, I like to have the wind in my sails, and that means that I want the rest of the market behind me, the general market behind me. So if there's a mistake that's made and I've got a small position and wide stops, well then I can, you know, the market will help me out a bit. But if I'm going to, you know, be a teenager about it and go against the grain, then it's not going to look good, so to speak. So I'm a little bit unsure about this one. Okay, so I don't know the best way to play this at the moment. So I'm just not going to do anything about this one at the moment. But if I had to take a bet, then I'd be looking at the short side there. But you'll need a setup. So then we come over to the European markets, and this is the DAX here. So currently, once again, the move down to this point here is corrective. So that means technically, right, that the market can make new highs at that point above here. It can do that, you know, but so that's something that we need to be mindful of. And that means that the move up here would be wave 1 at that point, and this would be wave 2 coming back. Now, I also don't know if that's true at this point, but I do know that we get 5 waves here, so that means we'll have a correction and then another 5 up. So treating it conservatively and looking at, we'll just look at this here, because normally the A wave and the wave C wave have got some sort of equality relationship to them. And if that's the case, if this is going to be 5 waves and it's the same length as this here, well then it's not going to be a wave 3. It could be a wave 1, mind you, but and also the speed of it as well. If it's going to be a little bit lazier than the speed of this move here, so this would be the speed of that angle. If this one was going to be on less of an angle, then it's likely, the personality of the structure is likely to be wave C at that point, rather than, you know, wave 3 to the upside. So I'm aware of all the counts, but all I can tell you is that we're getting 5 waves here, so we're going to get some type of ABC correction here, and then we're going to get another 5 up. And our game is to trade this leg here. It's as simple as that. There's no more to it than that. This particular market should follow the S&P, okay? So, and the NASDAQ. So the FTSE can kind of do its own little thing. It's got its own mess since it's left Brexit, and it's all on its lonesome. I guess all the rich people didn't want their tax haven closed down under European law. I mean, the square mile is a tax haven, you know. So, let alone all their little islands around the joint. Anyway, so yada yada yada. Yeah, let's go in and have a look at this. So this is 1,000 ticks. We'll need a bit more data in here. So yes, it's not too bad of a structure here for this. So yesterday we were looking for wave 4 here. I don't know if I can call it there, but I might have to. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I mean, it's telling me that if I look at this as wave 4 here, then this would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but it's like a B wave up here, isn't it? Taking out the top here. I'm still this is 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth, fifth, third. So it's all pretty good. It just looks like it's just a little bit weird. I mean, I'd like to put wave 4 over here and have this come down as an expanded flat and take that out and then go up for wave 5, but that's going to throw it out of whack with the rest of the markets. But you know, like I said yesterday, it doesn't really matter because we've had our trade in here, we're out of it, and now we just need to wait for this to play out a little bit. So I'll put wave 4 here for the time being. I just can't really put it there. It doesn't seem right to put it there because that's 3 waves down. But then again, leaving it there really puts it out as a B wave up here, I have to say. Anyway, look, if you wanted to short this, this would be the short trade under here, because if it dropped down below that, that would be from these lows here up to here. This would be, say, 50%. So anything below that would be a short trade. But I'm going to take that away. I don't want to manage that. And it could very well do this and then come down here. So just be a little bit careful about that. So, yeah, so I mean, I'm just saying this because this would be wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 up here. And yeah, you don't want to go chasing that one, okay? You have to wait for the S&P and the stocks to bring us over to this point here to rebalance this trend, and then we can go for that. And then we come to the FTSE. So the FTSE, this is a daily chart. We've got some colossal sort of triangle sort of pattern here. We could play it out a little bit differently as another corrective pattern. I know that the difference is that this one would be the A, the B, the C wave to here in line with the DAX and the S&P in that case, and then we would have this as an E wave here, and then we'd go up at that point. The other one here is that we would look at this B wave here and come all the way down to the C wave here, and this would be 1 and 2, and probably 1 and 2 here, and then come down here further in that case. So is that possible? It can do its own thing, so I wouldn't put it out of the picture, but probably bring it more in line with the other markets. But yeah, it didn't really, a bit like the Russell, didn't really sort of play out here the way I wanted it to. So the A wave has given me like 3 waves to the upside rather than 5, you know. So it's kind of like, I think, well, you know, this move here, it's hard to, from this low to here, we don't really get 5 waves. We get an A wave, and then an A, B, C, D, and E here for the B wave, and then 1 and 2, and then 3, 4, 5 for the A wave. And then we're looking for the B wave in here, but we could also, I was mulling over, we could put the B wave over here, didn't make a new high there, all those sort of things. So I'm also a little bit unsure how this is going to play out here. It's difficult to put, I could put the C wave here, and we could go up for this C wave here like that. That could, because this C wave here would play out much the same length as this. It's not quite true, but if it came down one more leg here, it could kind of get there a little bit, and we could put that B wave in there. But it'd be too early, you know. I mean, if the other markets are going to come down, well, then it feels like, you know, that this should be under more pressure. You know, it feels like this should be like coming down here for 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 here, some testing down here, then going up, you know. That's what the rest of the markets would be telling me at that point. So yeah, I can't really help on this one just yet, but I wouldn't trade it unless I had it in line with the other markets anyway. But I mean, one of the points here is that this being a corrective pattern here, right, this being correct, so sometime in the future that low is going to be taken out, and it's okay for this B wave to, you know, have a new low below this low here. It's quite possible to do that, you know, as an A and a B, and then go up for the C for the D wave here. So yeah, anyway, not much help here, unfortunately. So we'll just have to leave that. And then we come over to the Australian market, and with the Australian market, it's much the same as the other markets. So the 27th, 28th here, but that'll be the 27th on the Friday. I don't know what this platform, obviously it's not set on the right. Oh, it could be Saturday morning, Friday, late Friday, yeah, of course. So obviously, we've been counting it up as 1 and 2 with the rest of the markets, and then all the way up here for wave 3. And yeah, so we've just been watching this sort of play out. Yesterday, we were sort of in here somewhere. So this little pattern in here, I was looking at it. So what I'm going to show you now is from the top of wave 3 to wave 4 here. And this is on 5 ticks, so it's quite small. So that would be the wave 3 here. So I was thinking that we could look at this as the A wave here, and then an A wave here, and then an A, B, C, D, and E here for the B wave, and then the C wave for the B wave here, and then down for the C wave, and have wave 4 here, and then have wave 5 up here. So blue wave 4, blue wave 5 here, and then this down for 1 here. I could put this back over here now and call that in, and that would be that. Because if that's not the case, it's a bit difficult to call this like wave 1 and 2 here, isn't it? Or wave 1 and A, B, C for 2 here, then 3, 4, because wave 4's come down too low. So basically, you know, if you see the market down here somewhere, then you know you're in, that's the 7,000. Obviously, if the market comes down to that point in 5 waves, it's going to give you a little 3-wave move back and then go down and do that type of thing, you know. So yeah, that, you know, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, actually to here. I know that's okay. I can do that. Can I? I've got to kind of go to there actually. 4, 5. So that's, I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit dodgy. So I'm not sure about that being 5 waves. So I can see probably counted both ways, but that's what I was sort of looking for. And obviously it's come down to the 7,000 area here, checking for support again. So yeah, it's bouncing from this support, and this will be the resistance. So it's just going to kind of keep bouncing in there, and then it's going to make up its mind to go either way, of course. But we're expecting markets to go a little bit lower. So what happens if it does push up from here? If that's wave 4 here, then we would need to try to understand this as wave 1. And because it's a sharp pullback here, we'd have to look at it as wave 2 here, wouldn't we? Because it's kind of, you know, wave 2's are simple and sharp. So that would be simple and sharp at that point. So that means that wave 3 to the upside would be longer than this one here from that point. So if you're going to trade long, how would you do that? Well, this is 7,000 here, of course, so we'll just give that a bit of gravity, and then we would have roughly 10, 20, and 30, then 50 here. So the idea would be to somehow build in on the long side here. Now this particular move that's happened down here so far from this top to here comes in at the little, that's the 50%, so that's a little pocket there, somewhere in there. So we're really at that, you know, at that distance there already. So we you know, probably won't, I mean, it could go to the 78.6. So any trade that you put on top here would need to be a very small position, if I'm just talking about the long side here for a moment. And if it is a small position, then you could look to add to that with a classic trading levels pattern sitting at the 30 here in this case. You know, the first high above the level, and then go from that point. But otherwise, this here looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So this would come back here a bit, and then it'll give you wave 3 here, wave 4, and wave 5 here. And then you would have an ABC pattern here. And if you came down this low here, then what you could do is also look to short this. So from this top, I'll just take it to the 7,000 here. Then, because if it went down that far, you could start shorting in that little space there. Turn that green there, and you know, just make it very small, and then look to get another position under here once this becomes the resistance. So that's the short side, and that's the long side for this, you know. But in the bigger picture, we're kind of looking for a top in the market. So this is a pretty good excuse here. And in a way, this is a bit like a classic trading levels pattern at 7,000 here. The arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and then we would look for the A, the B, and the C wave here, and that's basically what we're looking for. So it would be this pattern here. We've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and then the ABC pattern here, coming back here further. So I think that's where we are, but just shooting the breeze and talking about it a little bit on that small intraday note there. So yeah, coming back here, this would make this wave 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, and 5 here for the A wave, the B wave here, but take this with a pinch of salt, you know what I mean? We're not there yet, but we're waiting for the top and the turn, and this could be it here, but it doesn't really give us the trade that we want. This here, this is the one that we want. We want that to the upside, you know. That's the one we want, and we want to build in here, and we want to build in on top, and then we just want to go for the ride like we did here. So we don't, that could be wave 1 here too and wave 2 here, I don't know, we'll see, but we'll be on it at the right time. So that's it. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.